Having had the opportunity to speak with Colin, David and Montana, I feel we as young people can do so much more, especially in regards to educating ourselves and other young people, as we tend to listen to our peers much more than others, because we share commonalities and understand how we think and approach this subject. We're joined by Colin Sumter of the Public Health for Camden in Islington. Thank you for coming, Colin.
Oh, no problem, thanks for having me.
According to your recent Public Health Intelligence report, there was a significant amount of young people reporting to smoking cannabis, correct?
Yes.
So can you tell us more about this and the negative impact it may have on our community?
So to try to understand how many people are taking different illegal drugs in the borough, we've looked at published research, and national research about young people suggests that about 7% of 11 to 15-year-olds have smoked cannabis in the last year.
How important is it to involve young people in the delivery of drugs and alcohol awareness?
So it's important to say that there's a lot of myths about cannabis use, and that cannabis is considered quite a sort of safe or sort of almost like a legal drug by some people. So it's important to stress that cannabis is still an illegal drug, and whilst it is not one of the most harmful drugs when we look at heroin or crack cocaine, it's still harmful to society and to an individual themselves. So a lot of people can become quite focused on cannabis smoking and can use cannabis to the isolation of their friends, their families, or attendance at school or at work, and they can lose focus on life to an extent. And whilst the majority of people that smoke cannabis won't go to those extremes, there are a significant minority, especially amongst young people, that can have an over-consumption of cannabis. Cannabis is linked to sort of feelings of paranoia and apathy. It can really affect a young person's social connections.
There was one time when I was walking past, and this was quite a long time after I actually started smoking. I saw myself and I didn't like the person who I was. I felt cheap. I knew I looked bad. I probably smelled at the time, probably just didn't take care of myself like how I should have been, and felt lazy. I dropped out of school, had no qualifications. By the time I left school, everyone was doing better than what I was doing because I was the one who couldn't, unfortunately, get myself out of that habit. And, you know, I was depressed, emotional all the time, didn't go nowhere. I lived in darkness. A lot of things.
Those are the impact.
Yeah, a lot of things.
So what do you think are the main causes of young people participating in substance misuse?
I think anyone using kind of substances is doing it for a certain reason, and usually it's because they're trying to change their state of mind or their circumstances at that time. We know that drugs affect our brain and our brain chemistry, and they change our mood. They make us feel better, feel different. And I think that's what young people are kind of searching for, is that for whatever reason they're not happy with the way they're feeling at that time, so they're looking to change it in some way. You know, if they're feeling sad, they'll want to feel happy, and you can find drugs for that. If they're feeling happy, they'll want to feel even better and, you know, go into a party mood or something, and there's plenty of drugs for that. If they're feeling angry or stressed, you can find a drug for that. So it's about, I think, they're just wanting to kind of change how they're feeling for whatever reason.
Could you give us a case study example of some of the people you've worked with?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this a while now, so there's probably quite a few I could think of. But one of the ones I was thinking of is, and kind of relating to that earlier question, is that I think some young people that I've been working with, usually young guys I've found, is that they have these really deep kind of questions, and they're really questioning life and trying to find their place in the world and what everything means. And sometimes they're just trying to escape some of those because they're constant questions and they just get too bogged down in it. And there's been a couple of young guys like that they use drugs to try and escape some of their questions, and sometimes they would kind of use some other kind of really out there drugs to try and like change their state of mind and alter consciousness and try and find these really deep meanings to life. And there's a couple of young guys like that who I think, yeah, they're kind of really struggling, and so they were trying to get drugs to try and help them through that difficult period of their life.
Okay. How important is it to involve young people in the delivery of drugs and alcohol awareness?
I think having young people involved is really vital. I mean, first of all, it's for them and it's about them, so there's no point coming up with this, what we think is a great idea and a great awareness campaign that young people aren't going to listen to. So it's really important to have feedback from young people that what we're doing is going to be relevant to them. And I think also that we're in such a rapidly changing culture at the moment. I mean, I don't think I'm too old, but things are quite different now for young people from when I was a young person. I mean, you think about technology and smartphones and social media, and and there's so much pressures that come with that about this, keeping your online presence and being cool, and also just being connected all the time. People can contact you all the time, and I think that also opens young people up to having a lot more access to drugs, a lot more awareness, and things are so much faster these days, and it's really hard for them to keep up. So I think it's really important for us as services to kind of figure out and to hear what's kind of relevant for young people at that time, because it will change so rapidly.
Having had the opportunity to speak with Colin, David and Montana, I feel we as young people can do so much more, especially in regards to educating ourselves and other young people, as we tend to listen to our peers much more than others, because we share commonalities and understand how we think and approach this subject.